Greetings, my
Hey sister, how you doing? Did you know that you're beautiful, beautiful? Hey sister, there ain't no choosing. Did you know that you're beautiful,
greetings, Salam alaikum, namaste, etasin, bawani, and the list goes on. My name is Kai Kwatasia and you are here on the Eyeame channel. Welcome! I am so excited. It's been over a month since I last posted. Nonetheless, I'm here now and I have a very interesting topic to share. Today's topic is about abstaining. So similarly to most of my videos, I'm going to format it in, I'm going to give my experience and then I'm going to share my lessons. So for the last 3 years I have been celibate. I have been abstaining from sex. So actually I want to first touch on the definition of abstaining and celibacy. So abstain is defined by actively not engaging in something that majority of the time brings you pleasure, whether that be food or alcohol or sex. And then celibacy is defined by not engaging in sexual activity with the intention of getting married for spiritual or religious purpose. So let me share my experience with you. Let's go all the way back and start from the beginning. Should I tell you where I lost my virginity? Okay, I lost my virginity when I was 21, almost 22, and I lost it to someone that I knew wasn't going to be my husband. And I started to share myself with people that I had no long-term prediction of them being in my life. So in the beginning of 2018 I had like a feeling and an urge to look into celibacy, and that's another reason why I'm making this video, because all of the videos about celibacy are based on religion and Christianity, and some of us are practicing celibacy not because we adhere to religion or subscribe to it. Some of us are spiritual, some of us are atheists. Everybody has their reason, and I think that YouTube is a really good platform to showcase that. And nonetheless, so 2018 I started looking into celibacy, but I kept on finding myself in situations whereby I was having to restart my calendar again. I kept on saying, okay, I'm gonna be celibate now. No, I'm gonna be celibate now. I'm gonna be celibate now. And it happened far too often, and so I started to realise that I was lacking sexual discipline, which is so ironic because only a year and a half beforehand I had all the sexual discipline in the world. Anyway, I found myself in one nonsensical relationship where my partner was nine years older than me, and he was trying to make big life decisions for me without my permission. And that was when I realised I got to retract this thing all the way back. So I exited that relationship and I started my celibacy journey. Now, this is where it gets really TMI. The following 2 months after the last time I was intimate, I did not have a cycle. After that, I bled for 3 to 4 months straight. At first, I thought it was my body's way of ridding partners out of my body. I thought I was eliminating negative energy and detoxing, and my body was disciplining me for having people that were not equally yoked enter my space. And then come the 3rd month, I wasn't cycling, I was spotting, but it was very unlike me. My sister said, I think you need to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor. For the most part, all was well. I had symptoms of PCOS. And when I found that out, I knew that I not only had to become celibate, I really had to adjust my whole mindset. Initially, I planned on being celibate for a year. Then I realised that the amount of work that I wanted to do, the amount of spiritual work, the amount of woman work, the depth and the levels of the work that I wanted to do was going to take much longer than a year. So I said, okay, boom, I'll give myself 3 years. I knew for a fact I knew for a fact that I was setting myself a really, really big challenge, because the truth is I enjoy being intimate, and I want to share that with you because I grew up with this idea that women that were good were not sexual, and it was only as I got older that I realized that you can be a good woman and a sexual woman all at the same time. They have done, listen, our society has done such a disservice, yeah, teaching us the virgin and whore complex. Everyone has that innocent, pure, kind sweetness to them. Everybody has that freaky deaky, you don't know about me side to them as well. They're both equal and they're both valid. As the months passed, I kind of felt like I was in limbo because for the most part, around 20 to 23, I had always been talking to or in a relationship or some way engaging with men, and not being and completely disconnecting from them in that way. I kind of felt an element of limbo, but at the same time there was an air of liberation. Like, I knew that all of the things that I was doing was completely myself. For example, before I was trying to learn how to cook egusi because I had a Nigerian partner, but in that time everything that I cooked and spoke about and researched and studied and all of this was completely for myself. So that was like the surface that was being scratched. I knew that I wanted to get everybody else's energy out of my space, out of my aura, so that I could re-identify and re-evaluate who I was completely and utterly as myself. So now we're moving into winter. So come September, October times, I started to realize how much damage I had done to myself. So that was my thought. And then I started to think about all the women that didn't know any better, all the women that had been sexually assaulted or had made bad sexual decisions. I quickly just want to go back to another reason why I wanted to become celibate. So I had become numb. I had become completely emotionally numb. This is Editing Kaikwa. I just wanted to add that I became emotionally numb because I was in a genuine and unique love with someone. And when that relationship began to disintegrate, I tried to seek him out in other men to no avail. Exposing myself to all that amount of energy led for my body to completely shut down emotionally. My moon is in Cancer, and so I'm very emotional and intuitive, and like I can feel what you're feeling without you even saying it to me. And so the fact that I couldn't feel how I felt, every emotion felt mechanical, but it wasn't felt deep within me. I stopped crying, I stopped laughing. Normally I can feel it on my skin, in my heart, in my fingers. I was completely emotionally dead. And that is the worst feeling to ever experience. And I knew that I had to rejuvenate myself, especially because I was so young. Luckily for me, I had the resources. We give thanks. Two of which was Queen Afua. Here are her books. So this one is The Sacred Woman, A Guide to Healing the Feminine Body, Mind and Spirit, and this one is Overcoming an Angry Vagina. So I've read this book, but I've just not gone through the gateways. This book, however, it's got such a compelling passage I'd love to share with you. The chapter is called Keeping Myself Sacred. While on the journey of my Sacred Woman training, I noticed I was becoming illuminated and attracting suitors like bees to honey. Keeping my womb sacred was challenging. Men saw the divine in me, started to call me goddess and queen. They said they had to have me, and I told them, you must fast and cleanse to get rid of your toxicity. Then and only then can we think about consummating our relationship. They could not believe me. Each one responded, I'm not changing my diet just to be with you, or I am meat, I come from meat. Too bad, it's your loss, I said. You see, there is no other way. My sisters and I have concluded that even a condom cannot keep out the poisons. There is no choice for me but to continue on my path and stay clean from toxic foods and toxic men. As I wait for my sacred man who is also on the path to healing himself, I will surround myself with sacred women who support my womb wellness and their own. I know he's out there. And this was written by the Lotus Blossom Womb Sharing from a Sacred Woman. So when I read that, I was even sitting on my bed. When I read that, it was like a confirmation, it was like an ashe, it was an affirmation that I was on the right journey and nothing was going to take me off of it. When I was a virgin, or I don't like that term, before I had first shared myself, I was in like sister circles and women's circles, and I attended goddess days, and so I started looking into yoni eggs and yoni breathing and womb detoxes and women's teas and the sacredness of dancing and eating whole foods and eating plant-based and being among feminine energy and connecting to the divine feminine and using crystals and all the other powerful resources. But at the same time, I had completely suppressed my sexuality in such a short few months because out of fear, essentially out of fear. I was learning to understand how to use my sexuality to cook or to have a really good conversation, because essentially sexuality, when you boil it down or you bring it through the filter system, it's creativity. And so you can create so many things with your sexuality. You can create businesses, you can create good days, you can create anything that your mind can come up with. It's my belief that sex with the right person / people, because I think you can be intimate with more than one person over your life, is the highest form of prayer. Sexuality and spirituality have been completely like severed in our society, but they're so interconnected, they're so intertwined, and once we start remembering ancient practices, we are on to a winner. Going back to the experience, each month that passed, it gave me hope, because I'm gonna be honest, I lost trust in myself. I lost trust that I could make good decisions for my vagina, for my yoni, for my sex, for my body, because I hadn't. But when each of those months passed and I got to my first year, it was like that year had become concrete now. I couldn't go back. If you're already a year in, it was now tangible. I had accomplished a third of my goal. It was something worthy of protecting, and I would not let anybody into my space to ever compromise that, which is funny that I've mentioned that, because that is something that, if you were to embark on a celibacy journey, will come up. Let me just clarify. Men that I had been physically intimate with or just spoken to kept on, like, in those 3 years, kept on like just popping in and out to see where I was on the journey. I missed talking to men. As a feminine being, I love masculine energy. And so, of course, like, I wanted to play with it, I wanted to flirt with it, I wanted to enjoy it, but I was also on a mission. People from my past kept on coming back, and I don't know what it is here about people's ego, stupid idiots. I don't know what it's about their ego that makes them think that it's going to be them that's going to change my decision. Anyway, going back to the story, time keeps on passing, and the highlight of the second year of my celibacy was that I had started to create a home of myself. No longer, not that I feel like I needed somebody else, but I enjoyed other people. But I had really started to enjoy myself as a person, as a adult, as a woman, and I think that's essential, because now that a home has been created, when I do eventually get into another relationship, God forbid, astaghfirullah, God forbid that it is not worthy, I know that there's somewhere safe and beautiful and fun and exciting that I can come back to. I know that I've created a life that still needs work, but for the most part is worth living independently. Another thing that happened during my second year was that I started to enjoy other people's love. I started to, if I saw an old couple holding hands, it brought me joy. I started to become, maybe towards the end of the first year, beginning of the second year, my emotions started to come back to me, started to pour into me, just feeling the way I'm accustomed to. I can say after 3 years, there is a level of confidence now that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I can say that I am sexually disciplined. I have been tempted. I have been tempted, but the 3 years have been completed and I'm so elated. And with that being said, let me share lesson 1. You have to honor your body. And honoring your body means not compartmentalizing it. So I've heard, a friend told me that there's been experiences that she's had where she's actually having to pray to her ancestors and let them know that she's going to commit a stupid act. Why do that to yourself? Why reduce yourself to one component? It can't just be your body that wants to be intimate with this person. It has to be body, mind, spirit. A really good sign that you shouldn't be engaging with somebody is if your body does not prepare for them. If you don't start to open up and blossom, if you don't feel heat, if you don't feel warmth, if you don't start to become silk and water, it's a clear indication. Your body is talking to you. Pay attention. Listen. The second lesson is to only share yourself with people that are on the same level as you. As you know, I'm a big believer in energy. Energy means everything. So if you are with somebody that, nothing's ever going right in their life and they hate their family and they have a really negative, pessimistic attitude and they don't have a lot of money, what do you actually think is going to happen when you combine energies together? Do you think once you leave, they're still going to be them and you're still going to be you? Notice that partners that have been in a relationship for a long time tend to look like each other, start to take on each other's accents, start to take on each other's mannerisms. So just be so mindful. The only people that you should be intimate with are people that are energetically on the same level as you and above. That's it. I think the third lesson kind of connects to the second one, which is sex is a contract. You are contracting that person to take care of your body, to take care of your mind, to create a safe and pleasurable space. And you need to ensure that when you're making that investment and you're signing that contract, you've actually done your due diligence, that you've made sure that that person looks like or acts like someone that can manage you. Okay, the fourth lesson is before you have sex, before you are sexually intimate, please make sure that you love yourself first. Make sure that you are not denouncing yourself, that you are full and complete and beautiful just by yourself. That way, you're bringing something tantalizing to the table. You're bringing something delicious to the table. You're bringing something that's enjoyable. The next lesson, some people might think it's taboo, but you should be able to pleasure yourself before you enter the bedroom or anywhere with someone else. If you don't know what your likes are, what your dislikes are, the pace, the smells, the tastes, the sounds, the experience that you enjoy, how are you going to put that in somebody else's hands? And keep in mind that person is focused on taking care of you and also themselves. That's a lot to ask of somebody. So make sure that you have a rough understanding. Make sure you have a clear understanding. Okay, and the final lesson, I don't know if it's the 6th or the 7th, but it's to practice sexual discipline. At first, 100% it's going to be challenging, it's going to be difficult. Some of you might even go blind, but with time and practice, you are going to get better at it. For me, how I did it is that I had a really strong why. I knew that not even just my sex, that our sex, that sexual energy overall is powerful, it is phenomenal, it is magnificent. And when you have been blessed with such a gift, it is your duty to take good care of it. That might mean locking off people that you know. Once you're in their space, it's on. The next thing might be reading a book about how to abstain, or watching videos on YouTube, or, you know, the times that you feel aroused or feel that sensation, just allowing for that sensation to flood you, as opposed to calling up people or doing something about it. And slowly but surely, you're going to learn how to control it. You're going to learn how to utilize it, and how to not manipulate it, but learn how to evolve it and make it be used for advanced goods. You're going to learn how to maneuver it from your sacral chakra and start to bring it up into your solar plexus and your heart, and start to send your sexual energy out to the earth for higher good. That might sound a little bit too hippie for some, but overall, I'm saying you don't just have to offer up your orgasm to anybody that can provide you with one. Orgasms are also energy. Orgasms is such a big release of energy. I would like to think, no, I'm confident. I think if there is a man that has height in his body, that has planting in his stomach, that has intellect in his mind, that has Africa in his blood, if he was to come into my space, I know that the sensation might arise, but just to enjoy the experience of the sensation, and that's it. Leave it there. My 3 years that I've invested in myself, if anybody wants to enjoy that, there has to be a thorough investigation, energetically, spiritually, mentally, academically, professionally, culturally, ethnically, and everything, environmentally. I didn't say it at the beginning of the video, however, it is clear that this content is not for people that are in powerful, magnetic, soulful, meaningful, purposeful relationships. You lot continue to enjoy yourself. It's for sisters that are potentially virgins, although again I don't like that word, or more so for sisters that are sexually active right now, but they're not getting anything out of it, barring the physicality. Some people that know that there is more to sex, and that they could be doing more with their time, their energy, and their resource. I think this content should hopefully help you out. Is there anything else that I need to say? Overall, our sexual energy is one of the most potent, powerful energies that we have. It is not supposed to be shared amongst higgy-hagger donkeys. Find someone that is equally yoked. Find someone that is on your level or above, so that you can use your sexual energy to transmute it back to its potent meaningfulness. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Everything that resonated, full joy, and what doesn't resonate, release. It is currently like 4 a.m. However, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, Eyeame in everything. Bless up and take care.
Did you know that you're beautiful?